My name's Blake. I've been attending Front Range for almost 6 years now. I was born here in Denver, lived here for about a couple years, and my mom and my dad had split. So we moved to Texas, and my dad had met my stepmom. And my dad was a very hardworking man, which meant I didn't really get to see him that much. I just remember feeling pretty lonely as a child. I kind of would just get upset about it, but I didn't know why I was upset about it. Senior year of high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. It just felt like Colorado was where I wanted to be. I graduated high school, and then a week later I was here. I had an idea in my head that I would make friends pretty easily here. And then I found out that wasn't as easy as I thought it was gonna be. So that's really what started to get to me, is I didn't know how to make friends. I wasn't going to school. I was working a job where mostly everyone was older than me, had families, and I was just this 19-year-old kid. So fast forward, I ended up moving into my mom's basement. I was probably at the lowest I've ever been. There were days when I couldn't even get out of bed. I just wake up, go to work, go home, sleep for 3 hours, take a 3-hour nap, eat dinner, go back to bed. That was every single day. And the only period of time I looked forward to was the time when I was at work. So there were days when I just didn't even want to talk to anyone. I was isolating myself from everyone. It was 3 or so years of just that every single day. In 2018, my good friend, who was also my coworker, invited me to a Good Friday service at Front Range. The main reason I wanted to go was to be with that friend. I made an effort to go to church, even if I wasn't connecting with it. It was just nice to be with others. There was a service in particular that really connected with me, but it was the Escape Room series. And Ernest, he had these cards that everyone had. There was 5 check marks, and he said, if you relate to any of these, check them. Some of the things on there were, I feel so overwhelmed. I am hurting and no one knows how alone I feel. I struggle with unhealthy habits and or addictions. I suffer from anxiety or depression, and I have thoughts of suicide. So Ernest basically said, I'm gonna read these things out, you check what resonates with you, and then you're gonna pass your card to 3 other people, and then I'm gonna say those checks again, and if whoever's card you have, if it's checked, stand up. But what's funny is I passed my card, and I ended up with my card back. So as he was reading all of these things, I was standing for myself, but no one knew I was standing for myself. And just seeing all the people that were also, struggling with all these things. And I had checked, 4 out of the 5 boxes. It was just a cool thing to see that I wasn't alone in that way. During this time, I had zero faith. I didn't know who God was. I didn't have a relationship. I started to see how others were impacted by being a Christian. I wanted to have that type of faith that others had, that joy that others people had. I didn't know how to get it. But then I had a pretty big breaking point where I knew that was my only option. I was becoming very dependent on certain people. It was so bad where basically the friendships that I had were over. I had ruined all the relationships I had longed for. In that moment, I knew I had to change something. There was nothing that could heal, the depression I was feeling other than following Jesus. I was just praying like I've never prayed before. And pretty instantly, a day or two, it was a complete change. From lowest to the low, I was highest to the high. Just from giving all of that worry that I had away and replacing it with trust. I committed my life to Christ, and I knew I needed to find more community than just the few friends I had. When you're alone, that's when the enemy speaks the loudest. I had found a group that I really connected well with. This community group that I had, it really felt like I was, walking with others. I could talk to them about anything, and they wouldn't think poorly of me. They would be encouraging and helpful. Through this whole experience, I went from, not seeing God move at all to what He is to me now, which is caring, loving, having someone when I'm at my lowest to comfort me or care for me. Some days I'm extremely hopeful that God's doing everything good for me. I have my days where I feel like He's not, even though He is. I can't see it always, but I still know that he's moving, and that's kind of where the trust comes in. And I actually now have hope rather than no hope.